Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's version of Nichols and Dimes, our weekly video series. What is sentiment? Sentiment is an indicator about how people are feeling. And this is per dictionary.com. Sentiment is a view or attitude toward a situation or an event. A view or attitude towards a situation or an event. So what am I talking about this week? What is sentiment? Sentiment as it relates to the markets. So since 1987, there's a company called the American Association of Individual Investors, AAII. Since 1987, they've been doing a weekly survey of sentiment. In other words, how investors are feeling about the current market environment and how they think the market is going to be up, flat, or down in the next 6 months. So again, a survey since 1987 has been done on a weekly basis for how investors have been feeling in terms of where they think the market is going to be in 6 months from now. So do they think it's going to be up, flat, i.e. really have gone nowhere, or down? Bullish or bearish? Bullish meaning up, bearish meaning down, or flat meaning going nowhere. So what's interesting is that there are market indicators that we look at to determine where we think the market is going to be short term. Now, this is not always 100% precise, so this is something we call a secondary indicator, but it's in our what we call file manager to determine, again, where we think the market is headed, just to help us make intelligent decisions on behalf of clients. So again, the survey has been around since 1987. So what's interesting is last week, the number of bears, in other words, the number of people that think the market is going to be down in the next 6 months actually increased about 10%. So why is that important? Is because this survey indicator generally is what's called a contrarian indicator. In other words, the more people believe the market is going to do one thing, by and large, generally speaking, the opposite happens. So again, as I mentioned, just last week, the sentiment indicator indicated the number of bears, in other words, the number of people that think the market is going to be lower 6 months from now, increased 10% to a level of 47.8%. So in other words, about half of the folks indicated that they think the market is going to be lower 6 months from now. So again, that's a contrarian indicator. So that trend of bearishness went up. Generally speaking, that says the market is going to go up. In other words, the more people think, by and large, something is going to happen, usually the opposite happens. So in other words, if most people thought that the market was going to be up in 6 months from now, that's generally an indicator that the market likely will be down in 6 months. Again, it's not 100% foolproof, if you will, 100% accurate based on historical data, but it's something that we would term as a secondary indicator to determine where we think the health of the market is going to be. So again, the AAII survey, the American Association of Individual Investors, does this weekly survey. It's very telling about the mood of the average investor. Now, of course, if you see the headlines, of course, recently you've seen a lot of headlines in terms of the coronavirus, more cases, on a daily basis. I think Florida and Arizona were the top two states with new confirmed cases. Mostly, generally speaking, when you have negative headlines, most people invest with how they feel currently. So again, you see a lot of negative headlines. That's translating into a negative bear market indicator, again, as we see here. So to that end, again, pay attention to indicators, pay attention to how you're feeling, pay attention to the headlines, and again, look at some indicators like this survey that can help you make a determination on where the markets are going to be. So again, to that end, if you would like a second opinion on a portfolio or financial situation, you can send me an email. You can go on our website, click on the services section, get a second opinion, click on that second opinion service, and you can reach out to us to do that. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.